Hello there and welcome to my guide for painting Electro from Marvel Zombies Clash of the Sinister Six. So the first thing I've done is sprayed them with some matte white spray from Colourforge. Then I'm going to use some Moot Green to paint all of his bodysuit, which I'll then wash with some Beltan Green. Once that wash has dried, we're going to give the model a quick dry brush with some Moot Green. This will be followed by a 50-50 mix of Moot Green and Matte White for the first highlight. Again, this will be another dry brush. And then a final dry brush of that same mix, but at a 70-30 ratio in favour of Matte White. For the yellow details on his suit, we're going to pick those out with some Avalanche Sunset. And these will then be given a wash with some Cassandra Yellow. Once that wash has dried, I then relayered the Avalanche Sunset with a little bit of Avalanche Sunset, making sure that I avoided any of the recesses. This was then highlighted with a 50-50 mix of Avalanche Sunset and Flash Gets Yellow, which was then followed by a final highlight of Flash Gets Yellow all by itself. I then used a Baden Black to paint the rest of his headpiece. I also used it just to mark out his eyes in his mask. I'm not going to go any further than the Baden Black though, and it's a very, very light touch. Then I used Iron Hand Steel to paint any metallic parts on the zombie version's base, and Dryad Bark to paint the wood on the pylon. Then everything from the black was washed with some Null Oil. And while that dries, on the hero version, I'm going to paint the electricity coming from his hands with some Dawn Yellow. I'll then give that a wash with some Cassandra Yellow. Once the Null Oil wash is dried, I'm going to highlight the black with some Corvus Black. I'll then highlight the metal with a 50-50 mix of Iron Hand Steel and Stormhost Silver. I'm then going to paint the exposed skin on the hero version with some Kislev Flesh. And on the zombie version, I'm going to use some Rakarth Flesh. And then both sets of skin will receive a wash with some Reichland Flesh Shade. While that wash dries, I'm going to highlight the Dryad Bark with some Gothel Brown. And I'm going to put some Carroburg Crimson into the zombie version's eye sockets. To highlight the hero version's skin, I'm just going to use a 50-50 mix of Kislev Flesh and Matte White. Then I'm going to dry brush the electricity coming from him with some Dawn Yellow. This will be followed by a 50-50 mix of Dawn Yellow and Matte White. And then a last dry brush of Matte White just by itself on the very tips. To highlight this skin on the zombie version, I'm going to use some Flayed One Flesh. And this will be followed by some Pallid Witch Flesh. I'm then going to pick out his teeth with some Matte White. And I'll pick his eyes out with some Fire Dragon Bright. Next, I'm going to paint the base with some Dawnstone, which I'll then dry brush with some Grey Seer. Then I'll paint the rims with some Abaddon Black. And then wash the base with some watered down Agrax Earthshade. Finally, for the zombie version, I'm going to add a little bit of gore using some blood for the Blood God on his hands and around his mouth. And with the blood out of the way, that's both these guys finished. I have to say, I had a lot of fun painting them. They're actually kind of grown on me. At first, I didn't actually like the models, but now they're painted, I appreciate them a hell of a lot more. In total, they only took around about 3.5 hours to paint for the pair. The only thing I would say, if you're not, or if you're new to this, green and yellow can be a little bit frustrating to paint. They are both very thin colours when you put them down, but give yourself some time, take a little patience, and you'll get there in the end. I really hope you found this guide useful. If you did, think about giving the channel a subscribe, the video a like, and I will see you on the next one. There's plenty more Marvel Zombies videos as well. All that's left to say, I guess, is goodbye for now. So goodbye for now.